Triple H is out as head creative guy of TKO. Where are you going, Salem? I had some news for you about Triple H. Because I keep seeing on Twitter people saying, oh, Mark Shapiro, the president of TKO, has confirmed that Triple H is no longer in control, and I guess somebody else at TKO is booking those Speed Championship matches there on NXT. I don't know. It's a bit clickbaity. I wonder if it's because WrestleMania was sort of a tale of two WrestleManias. Like, night one was an abject disaster, and night two was pretty widely praised. I think at least that's the general consensus on social media. It's sort of the consensus with a lot of people. Not maybe consensus, but it's the majority viewpoint, I think, over at Going in Raw here at WrestleJuice, maybe. In any event, whenever something weird happens, creatively speaking, like, for example, the Pat McAfee stuff, people are sort of like looking for something to blame, some reason. Oh, is it Triple H? Is it? And then there is some leaked audio, and leaked is a strong word. It's just audio that emerged from this University of Alabama business class that TKO president Mark Shapiro gave, I guess, a Q&A or a talk at or something. And there's 5 minutes and 30 seconds or so of audio where somebody asks Mark Shapiro about the nature of celebrity involvement in WWE. And it opened up sort of like three main topics, or at least two main topics, and then people ran with a third one, which is sort of how I opened the show today. Basically, he said the question was, who's responsible for, the integration of celebrities in WWE? And in a response to that, directly in response to that, Mark Shapiro said this. It's sort of mumbled audio, so I'll give you guys the actual quote, but I wanted you to hear it for yourself because vocally there's some context here. So here's the actual quote.
I guess I'm curious, how much involvement does TKO really have creative control and decisions like that? Because I've just seen that a lot online recently.
So I'll kind of walk you through that. First of all, it has complete control, so we're responsible.
He says, first up, the guy asks, how much control do you guys have over WWE creative? Now, when he mentions this is something I've seen online, I feel like the inference there is, in the lead up to WrestleMania, Pat McAfee was, sort of forced upon the main event scene. And why is that when Triple H is supposed to be the guy running creative? It doesn't seem like a Triple H thing. And then they sort of go on this, these media rounds where wrestlers are talking about how that stuff comes from above. It was sort of a messy situation. We all know that, right? And so the actual quote here from Mark Shapiro is, first of all, TKO has complete control. So we're responsible for that, good or bad. Now that to me, number one, doesn't sound necessarily like he's saying, oh yeah, I'm booking the Speed Championship matches on NXT. It sounds more like when fans have a problem with something, that's on us, TKO as a company. When fans want to give credit to something, that's on us, TKO as a company. Obviously, Paul Levesque works for TKO. He does not, nor has he ever owned WWE. Vince McMahon owned WWE outright until 1999, after which he was the majority shareholder, so ostensibly he owned WWE. And so there's nothing here to suggest that somebody else is running WWE creative. What he is suggesting, and this is sort of what he talks about a little bit as well, is the idea that celebrities can bring a lot of exposure to the product. And there's a couple other things here that are actually of interest here, the least of which is this idea that Triple H is not in charge. Now, clearly, there was a pivot to the Pat McAfee thing, and now PW Insider has reported that originally the plan for that particular sort of storyline in WWE was going to go a different way. Apparently they were going to go with Cody versus Drew McIntyre, but the Randy Orton match was going to be with Aleister Black, who has sort of taken on the Karrion Kross role, where he is bringing out the worst in people. He's trying to convince people that they need to be their true selves, and Randy Orton would have to become the 2009 Randy Orton in order to succeed again, or something like that. In any event, according to PW Insider, the idea was Randy Orton will lose his WrestleMania match to Aleister Black, and then show up after Cody Rhodes defeats probably Drew McIntyre in the main event of WrestleMania, punt him, and there you've got Cody's new story post-WrestleMania. And instead, it seems like Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, whoever, said, hey, interest is down, Paul. Ticket sales are down. We would like somebody, perhaps one of the faces of ESPN, given our relationship with ESPN and how it's not exactly the smoothest relationship, but we want to use Pat McAfee to help boost ticket sales and drum up interest. So can you put him in a prominent role in the main event scene in WrestleMania, one of your main event scenes there at WrestleMania, and then we were given the Pat McAfee goes bad guy thing that nobody liked. So it seems like that is sort of what happened. I don't know exactly, but it's sort of logic makes sense, I guess. So yes, in a way, TKO kind of put Pat McAfee there and said, do this, do something with this. And then in order to keep his job, the guy did that. And he told his wrestlers to go out and talk shit about this angle. And I'm sure TKO, as he says, bad or good, fact or fiction, are willing to take that heat, I guess, because they're making billions and billions of dollars. So why the fuck do they care if a bunch of internet nerds are mad at them? So it seems like that's the situation with that. I don't think Paul Levesque is merely a figurehead or a puppet or whatever. It's just he has bosses. He's always had bosses. When he was running NXT under Vince McMahon, he had a boss that was Vince McMahon. And that's why, certain things with NXT had to change. Hell, they changed all of NXT when it couldn't beat AEW in the ratings war. And Triple H had his heart problem thing, which is a whole other thing. There is some interesting tidbits here in this audio, though, that actually do sort of, shed some light on the thinking behind TKO's business practices. Specifically, he talks about how WWE has been growing its audience. He says it's growing in social, it's growing stars, it's growing clicks, views, short form video. It's really exploded. And according to him, this is his quote, and the reason for that is it was really just on Peacock and USA. And now, since we did a new deal, which put Monday Night Raw on Netflix, we tripled our audience. And then we put SmackDown, which is our Friday night show, on USA. And we put our developmental lead, NXT, on CW. And that really grew NXT. He says, and then what we call our premium live events, which he mentions obviously is WrestleMania, SummerSlam, etc. He says those used to air on Peacock, and now ESPN bought that deal. So in Mark Shapiro's estimation, it is the expansion of WWE's stories on different streaming platforms that has grown the business. Now, I don't know. I think there's probably, they have the ability to sort of track, are they actually getting a significant number of new viewers thanks to expanding on platforms? No doubt they're getting new viewership, because whenever you expand into additional homes, you are going to expand your viewership. That is undeniable. The question then becomes, though, how many people are tuning out because they have to pay that additional money? And of those new people that you're bringing in, how many are you retaining thanks to the quality of your creative? And are those new viewers willing to shell out the extra money it takes in order to keep up with your narrative product? This is the interesting thing that he says, and it's such a folly of a metaphor that it's kind of shocking that he even cops to it. But he says, he compares WWE to the New York Yankees and the viewer's ability to watch the New York Yankees. He says, I was just reading something in February showing that if you want to watch all the Yankees games this year, the full season through the playoffs, you'll have to watch them across 10 platforms at the cost of $1,000. When you add up everything, you have to buy them to see them. That's just the way of the world, and you will chase away some fans. So that's not good, but hopefully you're getting some quality storytelling and also programming around not just the Yankees. So, and he continues on. He says, if you go to Paramount Plus right now to see UFC, you may buy Paramount Plus just to get the UFC, but you might already have it because you're a fan of the Taylor Sheridan shows. He says, so we really want to surround ourselves with a good neighborhood of content and ESPN support, for example, because they have sports 1 + 1 = 5 when you get on ESPN. And I understand what he's saying there is when you get on a platform like that, you're getting a lot of new eyeballs. So it's not just, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, I guess, as a company, which from a business standpoint makes sense. But from a consumer standpoint, it's a horrible point to make. From a consumer standpoint, WWE is not the New York Yankees. WWE is more akin to Star Wars, something that WWE has always wanted to be compared to is the Marvel Universe. We'll just say Marvel, right? Marvel right now is available on a platform, Disney. Disney owns Marvel. They make them a center point of the Disney Plus platform. That's where you got to go to see Marvel. Same with Star Wars. WWE is more like that because, yes, you've got Raw, you've got SmackDown, you've got NXT. However, they all cross over. Now, this is obviously not a one-to-one comparison, saying Star Wars and WWE are the same thing, but it's closer in comparison than the New York Yankees, which is a sports team. And you can watch highlights of that in any number of places, including for free on YouTube. But with WWE, even though you can watch clips, you don't get the entire thing on YouTube. You get the entire thing by getting all these apps. Obviously, there are ways around this. You can get a VPN like I have to watch SmackDown. But if he wants everybody to do things the legal, right, correct way, and in your own territories not using a VPN, then yes, you have to go to a variety of different platforms like he's saying. But WWE, like I said, it's not sports. It's scripted narrative fiction. It is one narrative storytelling universe that they have now spread all that programming across a massive amount of streaming platforms. When you want Star Wars, if you're like, oh man, I really liked Andor. Now I want to watch the movie Rogue One, which you really shouldn't do because Andor is like prestige television and Rogue One is a massive step down. Sorry, Rogue One fans, but try to do that. Go straight from Andor to Rogue One. It does not work. And so anyways, you don't have to go and watch Andor on Disney Plus, and then you got to watch Rogue One over there on Netflix, for example, to get the rest of the story. You don't watch, with the new Darth Maul series, apparently they got an animated one coming out, to watch some of that. But then if you want to watch his debut in Phantom Menace, I don't know why you'd want to do that. You got to go to, Amazon Prime or something like that. You can see him all in one place. He brings up the UFC, which is all available on Paramount Plus, the one streaming platform. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's another place. I think they have everything on Paramount Plus. So he's kind of contradicting his own statements here. And I understand, yes, you will get more people by being on more platforms, but until there's like a super hard brand split, meaning each brand has its own ecosystem and its own system of premium live events, everything bleeds into everything else. And so, no, you're just sort of gouging the fans. And that's the one thing that I wish he would be honest about is, hey, these people will pay for whatever we put our shit on. And that's not going to change. So we're just going to keep on gouging them for money because they'll keep on shelling the money out. That's really the business lesson to be taken here is if you develop a property where the fans are so die-hard about it, they will follow it wherever it goes for however much it costs, then you got some gold on your hands. That's probably the better lesson to learn here. He talks about the celebrity thing, but honestly, the celebrity thing, he doesn't really say anything new because Vince McMahon loved using celebrities. WrestleMania wouldn't exist without Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T. He had an entire era of Monday Night Raw that was called the guest host era. Ryan Zane does a wonderful breakdown on it on his channel every single week, I think. I think he's still doing that. And so, yeah, the whole idea that Triple H is out at creative, no. Triple H just has bosses. Like everybody has bosses. And he has to do what the bosses say. Does that trickle down into WWE programming? Yeah, I think in a negative way, it absolutely was one of the overriding reasons why WWE WrestleMania Night 1, at least, or at least the build to it, was so derided this year. But the other thing, obviously, is just the ads and match length. Way too many ads. ESPN was just really squeezing every ounce of ad they could have. But in terms of the build, yes, it was absolutely overreaching by TKO, Ari Emanuel, whoever. And you got to wonder if they're going to keep on doing that, or if that's the kind of thing where this year maybe they'll learn, hey, we didn't have a lot of goodwill coming into WrestleMania, and in some way, shape, or form it affected our business, and we need to make sure that we've got as much positive buzz going into WrestleMania to make people feel better about paying way too much for our programming, which is spread out among a million different streaming platforms. So anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting because everyone, I get on Twitter every day. And like crawling through the cesspool of Twitter, I look for the conversations happening on social media. And that was the one that I noticed sort of the most. People, oh my God, Triple H is not in charge. He was never in charge. He's got a role there in WWE. And that sort of has been the same way as it has been since Vince was finally and completely ousted from the company. Whenever the lawsuit details came to light, and they were like, oh my God, no, he needs to be gone. So anyways, that's my little TED Talk for today. Thanks for coming out. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notify bell. Where is that thing? Where's the little subscribe thing? Where is it? Here it is. Look at that. Oh, there they are. There they go. And there we